Horror flooded me as I looked up at the burning barn. My sister was inside, and I might be the only one who could save her. Kyla! The desperate, haunted timbre of Nolan's voice tugged at my heart as I bolted past 3 very confused Quellers. I'm sorry, Nolan, I thought, but I have to do this. With every footstep, one of my failures flashed in my head. Steps I missed at dance practice, times I'd disappointed Papa, the day I'd let my magic get out of control and start a fire, and, worst of all, failing to convince the council. Watching them take away everything I'd worked for. I'd made so many mistakes, lost so much. But none of that mattered now. I couldn't afford any mistakes here. I had to get to Brianna and the baby she was pregnant with. Overwhelming emotions swirled inside me as I ducked beneath the smoldering doorframe and into the blazing heat. I sucked in a breath of air, but only choking smoke filled my lungs. I pulled the collar of my shirt over my face and tried to suppress the hacking coughs. A high-pitched squeal met my ears. A small black cat bolted toward the entrance. Where was Brianna? I swallowed the bile rising in my throat and pressed deeper into the oppressive heat. When I blinked, I found myself for a moment in the whiteness of the fire magic labyrinth in my mind, staring at the pillar that had spoken to me. Where is she? I demanded of the magic. I forced my eyes to open, bringing myself back to the present. The orange flames leaped from rafter to rafter, casting an eerie, hellish glow over the whole scene. The fire crackled and hissed, spewing embers at me. I jumped forward, dodging a flaming board that had torn free of the roof. I tripped over something and tumbled to the ground, rolling across the fallen board and wincing as pain shot through my body. When I glanced back wildly to see what had tripped me, my heart broke in 2 pieces. A little boy, perhaps 5, his skin dark with soot, his brown hair sticking to his cheeks in damp curls. He was lying on the ground, his knees tucked into his chest. But his terrified eyes met mine. He was alive. My gaze darted back toward the entrance. Where were the blasted Quellers? I looked deeper into the barn. Why hadn't I let Nolan come with me? He could take the child to safety while I found my sister. But the magic had spoken so clearly. If Nolan came with me, we'd both die. I lunged to my feet, scooped the boy into my arms, and bolted for the doorway, pleading with the fire to slow its murderous course. A cracking sound tore the air, and I redoubled my pace. A burning beam came crashing down in front of me, and I didn't hesitate before I leaped over it and sailed through the door and out of the barn. I sucked in a breath of life-giving air and bent over, coughing and hacking, trying to cleanse the choking smoke from my lungs. Kyla, yelled Nolan. I shoved the boy at him. Take care of him, I rasped. I have to get to Brianna. She might not even be in there, he yelled. The magic told me to. I held his gaze, my eyes pleading. Nolan took the boy from my arms. I'll go with you. I shook my head. Please, don't. I can get her. I swear it. Then I sucked in a breath of air, turned, and fled back into the raging inferno. The heat prickled across my skin, and then its full fury seemed to consume me. Where is Brianna? I pushed forward, fear ravaging my very soul. What if the voice was wrong? What if it was luring me into a trap? I shook away the thought. If Brianna was here, I had to find her. I had to. Acid flooded my mouth when I saw a charred body off to my right. I refused to even think it could be my sister. But someone had lost their brother or sister to these flames. Something seemed to tug me to the left. I followed the instinct. Then I turned into a wide stall, and I saw her, Brianna, on the ground. I ran to her, bending over her, searching for signs of life. Relief flooded every inch of me when I saw her shallow breathing. And then I noticed the others, 4 children hiding in the corner. Another woman, also unconscious. The fire roared behind me. But maybe if the children dragged the other woman, I could shepherd them all out in time. And then, the screaming of splintering wood. I whirled around just in time to see a post collapse behind me. A section of roof caved in, blocking our escape. I turned back to the children who stared at me with wide, panic-filled eyes. We were trapped. In that moment, my first thought was of my cousin Shayla, of how satisfied she'd be that her nemesis was dead. Anger radiated out of my chest, and the flames flared even hotter in response, throwing more heat at my scalded skin. I needed to focus. I needed to quell these flames, to carve a path through which I could drag Brianna and lead the children to safety, or at least hold it off long enough for the quellers to rescue us. Then a thin sheen of fire slithered its way across the ceiling, directly overhead. I swallowed. The quellers wouldn't reach us in time. We had to make it through the flames. My eyes found the other unconscious woman, the children's mama, if the resemblance was anything to go on, and my throat burned. We would have to run. I could throw Brianna over my shoulder, but I couldn't rescue the woman, too. If I tried to drag them both out, we'd all die. I couldn't save everyone. I whipped back around to stare at the flames that blocked our exit. "Come here," I called to the children. I heard them shuffling behind me, and then one of the little ones wailed, "Mama!" My heart cracked. "Focus, Kyla." I tried to steady myself. Save Brianna. Save the children. Save... My vision flashed white. That confounded pillar in the labyrinth pulsed in front of me like a living creature, underneath an uncanny symbol of fire, pulling together and then exploding into nothing. Of fire in the shape of a phoenix bird. And then I understood the strange magic that the labyrinth had shown me. I'd been right. I couldn't save everyone. A child gripped my skirt, and I turned to look at her siblings, her mama, my sister. But I can save all of the others, I realized, even though it will cost my own life. My sister had been right. Love. It came down to love. I reached out with a tentative hand to squeeze my sister's fingers, and then I turned and faced the flames. "You will not take them," I whispered. I stretched out both hands toward the fire. "I love you, Brianna." And without another word, I drew the flames toward myself. They came at me slowly, pulsing, as if surprised by my magic. Then hotter, brighter. Tears burned in my eyes, but they evaporated before they could trail down my cheeks. Though I would be reduced to ashes, life would spring up from the blackened ground. Life for the children, for their mama, for Brianna and her baby. The council might have taken away my title as Phoenix, but I was still a Phoenix. The first wave of flame hit me, and I screamed. The searing hot fire seemed to melt my skin and liquefy my bones, but I kept pulling, taking the fire into myself until my whole body felt scorched from within. And still, I pulled in the flames, forcing myself to stay conscious through the pain, with only the keen awareness of the love I had for my sister. "I'm sorry, Nolan." I glanced back toward Brianna, and then threw out my hands and screamed into the inferno. All at once, the fire raced toward me like a living thing, engulfing me whole in brilliant white light. Thank you.